Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast where we try to figure it all out. With your hosts, Brandon and Colin. On this week's show, because he was a major. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
How's it going?
Oh, it's a little frosty. It's a little...
I know. Keep waiting to warm up. I think we're on the upswing now.
Maybe tomorrow? Question mark? Right?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna hold my breath. Or maybe I should because it's so cold outside. But that'd be... I think tomorrow it might make it to 40. It's gonna be the highest it's been in like 2 weeks.
It'll be great, isn't it? It's just gonna be like, oh.
At least 1 week. It's pretty gnarly. So yeah, I don't really love -2, right? -4. Not my favorite temperatures. I do like cold weather. That's a little it's like spicy cold, right? It's like awful. And like
yep. When it's like actively biting and like hurting.
That's the good.
Yep. That hurts me.
So could be worse though. He could be in New Orleans.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing.
Well, it's something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, New Orleans got it. Houston was getting, and this wasn't just like, I think it's important to note, this was not just like a little bit of snow. This was like a sizable amount, that's
8 to 10 inches.
8 to 10 inches. Yes.
In like Louisiana.
Yeah, they don't do that.
That's not how this works, right?
Nope.
Like every road is closed forever now. Like Louisiana doesn't have snowplows.
No.
Right? Like what
they don't even know what they look like. They couldn't draw them in a picture. What are you talking about?
They don't know about ice scrapers.
No.
Like what's going on here?
No,
like,
and again, this is not to disparage the good people of Louisiana. This is merely to say, when
they
does
don't
it
need
snow?
this
They don't
on a daily
need
basis. This is not a thing that you need. If you live in Louisiana, you should not have to own an ice scraper. Right? That's not a thing.
Yeah. They don't. What store do you even go to get one of those?
Yeah, right. Like,
how would you even find one? Like, this is. Oh my goodness!
The port of Houston was closed on Wednesday.
That's insane.
Yeah, that
is no bueno. Oh my gosh,
that's so crazy.
I don't like you, like the port of Houston, like, because of snow, not a hurricane.
Yeah.
Like you would expect to hear there's a hurricane coming, the port of Houston and closed. You're like, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, no, snow.
Yeah. Surprise.
Oh my gosh.
I also read that because it snowed in Florida also, right? Did you see the pictures of Pensacola Beach covered in snow?
Yes, I did.
It's wacky, bro. But because it has snowed in Florida, it has officially snowed in all 50 U.S. states this winter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All 50 states officially now have snow after this last blizzard warning through the South. That's it. All 50 states have snow.
Because that's what we wanted this year. We wanted.
Yeah. That's what we needed on top of everything else.
That's, the
first ever blizzard warning in Louisiana.
Right?
Ever.
That just makes me a little. But you know what? We were looking for a way to have a moment of unity as a country, right? I think that's what we were looking for.
I don't know if blizzards in Louisiana is the way to do that.
Well,
right. I feel like there are still people that are going to say, no, the climate isn't changing. Everything's fine. Like, guys, it snowed in New Orleans.
Right.
Like a lot, not even like a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, not like a little teeny weeny dusting of snow. Because it's done that in parts of Texas before, right? Like Houston before, not like often, but every once in a while it'd be like snow, but like a quarter of an inch or less. Like just little, like, but not like inches of snow.
Well, when you say it like that, makes it sound bad.
because it is bad.
Well, I mean, but I thought it was supposed to get warm. So this isn't real.
It's not how this works. That's not.
No.
That's not how jet streams function. That's not
it works.
Yes, the science teacher. Currently teaching weather science. Pretty sure that's
in the pocket of big weather. That's what I hear.
I'm not in the pocket of anybody. I can guarantee you that much right now. My bank account would agree that I am in no one's pocket.
Oh, well. Anyway.
Oh, yes. The piercing bitter cold is great. It's really terrible because this is that wonderful time of the year where it's just like indoor recess every day.
Oh,
forever. It's like, no, it's so bad. I don't like indoor recess at all.
Well, and it's just not the same, isn't it? Like it's really
you're just trapped inside.
Yeah,
forever.
I know. And we homeschool, but like I see it in our kids of like we usually are always going on walks like 2 or 3 times a day, all that stuff. And now it's just like at bedtime, it's just like, okay, just spend like the next 30 minutes running around the house in the circle. Like just get it all out, because it needs to get out. But yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, because you deal with a few more children than just 2. So
yeah, it's rough. But I was thinking, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was reminiscing today about ye old elementary school. And I can't remember if we talked about this before or not. And I don't know if it was a thing when you were in elementary school, right? Because I don't know if it was a different principal or what. But so I was telling the kids about this too, and they were mad. Right, I hit them with the back in my day, and they were jealous. But so I remember at least in 5th grade. Now I don't remember if this happened in 4th grade or not. It could have, but I remember I have specific memories of 5th grade this occurring. Of there was like a couple days where it was like really cold, but if we had like sufficient winter clothing, right? Like coat, like boots, like like gloves, hat, whatever. Like the principal took a small group of people outside for recess and like had a snowball fight and like did all kinds of stuff like this. Was this a thing? Did this happen to you?
I remember this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
They would say basically like
Polar Bear Club or something, right?
Yeah.
Like we had like Polar Bear recess where like we had to like specifically prove that we had actual winter clothing, right?
Yes.
It was like but
yes. And then Mr. Harville would take you out and you would specifically go. But it was like you said, because like some kids just didn't come prepared to be outside because their parents
some kids did not want.
Some kids did not want to go outside. Yes,
which is fair, right?
It was basically a case by case basis of, would you like to go outside? Yes. Okay. Prove to us that you have the necessary equipment, and we will take care of it, right? And then it's like, okay, got it. And then you can go out and play. But I remember that where it was like basically it was like challenge by choice. Like, how cold do you want to be?
Yes, and so I didn't know if he was still principal when you were like in 4th and 5th grade or not. But that because I remember it was him. He was the one that did it. He went outside. He was the recess monitor person. Right, he wasn't, which was nice. He wasn't like, all right, other teachers, you're coming too. Like, they'd be like, no, I am not going.
He knew his team.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to do it. You don't worry about it. It's fine. Yes, I do have a memory of this occurring. Right, and so I didn't know if you remember this too, or if I was imagining things again. Right, that tends to happen sometimes. Don't always quite remember. Elementary school, right? We have like vague notions about what happened at this point. So I don't.
No, it is interesting how you like, how you like how everything does blur together, and then you're like, wait a minute, when exactly was that, and is that even real?
Yes, like when could that have happened? I think about this because Susan asks me things like that sometimes. Like, yeah, I did that in school. What year? How old was I when I did that? Like, I can't remember when it happened. Like, I kind of remember doing it, but like, how old was I actually when that occurred? I don't always have an answer for that. Especially like middle school and elementary school. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Right. And I've talked to other people that have like very firm memories of like first grade. And I'm going, how? What?
Yeah.
I have basically no recollection that ever even happened. I don't.
Yeah, like I think people have like very like these detailed memories of the comings and goings of first grade, and I think I have a memory, I think, but like that's not a whole lot more. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how people do this. I don't know.
I don't either. I mean, I remember that my biggest first grade memory is two memories. One, I got in trouble because I had toys in my desk. Shocking. I know, right? This is really surprising to everyone. And number two, one of my friends fell off one of those big, giant, gnarly jungle gyms and broke his ankle. That's
oh,
you know, like the meme jungle gyms that are like, this is
yeah.
what we had for recess back in my day. It was one of those. It was like really tall.
Yeah, and a metal cage.
Just like metal cage. Like a really tall metal cage. And he either jumped or fell off of that and broke his ankle. There was also a random tree stump on the playground that everybody was obsessed with for reasons that you can only imagine, because first graders don't make any sense at all. So that also that also was a thing, I think. Three things about first grade so far.
I see. It takes me, it's one of those things where I don't have any of this like in the forefront of my brain. People who can just rattle this stuff off really fast. I don't know what else they are able to do that with or why, but like, this is not a skill that I have. Like, I have to sit there and like, okay, kindergarten, I had this teacher, and then who did I go to after that?
I remember my teachers fairly well, but like, it's always this like really random little things, right? I remember a kid made fun of my last name, so I punched him. That happened too.
Okay.
Well, I remember, I don't remember what year this happened, right? But I do remember the only other one other very strong memory I have of elementary school is our last name did not fit in the bubbles to fill out on the standardized tests.
No,
right? They weren't long enough.
No,
which was very depressing. And my first name barely fit. My first name didn't fit sometimes either.
Right.
But the last name is just right out. Right. Like,
and they just tell you fill in as much as you can. And I remember being like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean I can't fit my whole name on this paper? What are you doing, MMAT? What's wrong with you?
Well, a lot wrong. Because like, we didn't even have like I have seen some last names. I know you have seen some last names of kids now where it's like half of this that wouldn't even fit in these bubble sheets that I had. So it's like, I never, fill it, just do as much as you can.
But 10 letters, that's just too much to be asking. I think they're like, no, everyone has 5-letter names. That's it. Sorry, guys, losers. You can't. Rude. What the heck?
Yeah. He's like, well, just deal with it and you'll be fine. Like, I remember, okay, I'm going to say I remember two things. First one, and I'm not even going to remember the name of this. I'm going to need your help, but I remember that we brought in and had Dad installed on the school computer what was it called? Something Mountain.
On the school computer?
There was a school computer in the back of our classroom, and it was a DOS game of a guy hiking around a mountain, and there were elves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember what this is called, but Dad installed that on the school computer in the back because it was like educational or something. I don't know. And I got in trouble for using the white gravel to write on the red brick on the outside of the building during recess.
That'll do it every time.
Every
naughty boy.
Chuck will come and he will stand in the doorway and will sternly kind of beckon you to come, and you and the other two students who did it will have to come out. And I think we had to use like a dustpan brush or something like that to like scrub the outside wall. I forget exactly what I had to use, or like maybe it was that, and then a wet washcloth to wipe it off. Yeah, because we defaced the side of the building.
Defaced the side of the building. Villainous. Yeah, I do remember having to stay in recesses and write sentences on the board. In like second grade. Like I definitely had to write "I will not talk in class" on the board or on a piece of paper like 50 billion times. Like
yes. You have sent over a screen grab of this.
Is that the right one?
That is the right one. What did you search for?
This is Treasure Mountain.
Treasure Mountain.
Yeah. But I think, yes, Treasure Mountain. But I think the one, I don't know if that, I can't remember if that is the right, I mean, it looks kind of right. I didn't remember it looking quite that good. So I don't know if this is like an upscaled picture or like what's happening here, but I feel like that's the correct thing.
Yeah,
right?
that is. Okay. I am going to, and here's the ROM, the ages 5 to 9 from the Learning Company.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you had to find the clue words, the coins, and the nets, and the treasure.
Yeah, I remember, the screen doesn't look as familiar, but the coins, net, treasure thing at the bottom, that looks real familiar. Oh, this picture. Okay, never mind. This one seals it. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
I'm ready.
Hold on. This one.
This will be this episode's show art. So people will need to look at this.
I remember this. That's
there it is.
I remember the cave with all the like gem things in it.
Yes, that is it.
That.
Yes. Yeah.
So, bang. There you go.
That is it. So Dad, I don't know whether I told the teacher about this game. That sounds like something I would do whenever the teacher would be like, "What'd you do this weekend?"
Like something
and I was like, "Let me tell you about this computer thing," and blah blah. Yeah. Oh man, F2 for file, F3 for options, and so I remember Dad coming in and
remember using F keys for things like on purpose.
Wow. Let me tell you, kids. Let me tell you, kids.
Let me tell you, kids, the F keys.
Oh, bro. Yeah. Remember F keys? Does anyone remember laughter? Yeah.
Remember DOS commands? Man, that was fun. That's like.
I mean, man, barely.
I do. I just keep looking at screenshots of this game, so I'm very distracted here. But yes, it's sort of coming back to me. But again, I didn't remember. Yeah. Oh, the net breaks and you can replay. Yes. Okay. All right.
Right, because they can escape sometimes, or you'll miss, and then that was a net that you used to get that or something, right?
Yeah.
I also specifically remember there's like vines or something like a vine ladder that you had to climb up and down on. To go.
I just saw that picture because you have to get to the top of the mountain, and there's like different levels. Like here's like a snowman, the snowman, the square snowman, right?
Yes. Yeah, and he would do this when he would. I just saw another picture of when he would do the net. I very vividly remember he would like stand up on his tippy toes. Yeah, and he'd come down on it like that. But yeah, I love the berries and the bushes like this, and this was definitely this was foundational to my life. And the climbing. Anyway, this was what this is what I remember that in this weird. Oh man, I want to listen to. I'm on the Wikipedia page for Treasure Mountain DOS, and I just learned something that I didn't know. The audio snippets, and this is going to bring back a lot. The music here was the Treasure Mountain theme. Apparently, the composer was Ludwig von Beethoven with a different arrangement. And like Caves and Castle was by Johann Sebastian Bach. And
really?
I'm gonna play. I wish I could. I will send this. I will send this link to you. Yeah, I don't know if you can listen to that. I'll try see if I can insert that into this.
Well, I have better news for you. I just found a website where you can download this game right now. Complete with instructions on how to run on modern computers. That's pretty hilarious.
Super solvers. Thanks, Internet. Is that Internet Archive? I don't know.
I don't know. It's
great.
But yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Bang. You can.
This is what I've been needing in my life. That will be
Treasure Mountain.
Yep. That'll be what I need to spend my life on. And yeah, that would make sense because first grade, man, it came out in 90. And so
yes, but it was because I think they re-released it.
Yes, through 1994, right?
Because I saw the later date. I was like, that doesn't sound right. But then I was like, oh wait, hold on. There's an earlier one. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. That's a conversation I need to ask Dad. Like, how did that enter our life? Like, where was he when that came up in conversation? Like, what? Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a good. Yeah, like, where did this come from? Right? It just like appeared one day. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know he had a friend that like built computers or stuff that was near his office. So maybe he was just talking with that guy, and he had some like, this is something cool for the kids, for the 5 to 9 year old range, which is really narrow. Like, that's interesting. Anyway,
true.
But anyway, just figure out like, how did that come into being? It's a reading and thinking game. Come on.
Yeah. Because I saw a screenshot about you have to find the rhyming word thing.
Yes.
Right? And so, boom. That's interesting.
Yep. And remember where things were.
Yeah. A lot of those games were like that. You had to remember where the things were so you could go back and get them later.
Yeah, very much based off of the like old like castle games, or like the go left for this, go right for this. Like, anyway, like that really was a mode of operating in how the game mechanics for a very long time.
We had like a castle game like that. I think we talked about this before, but it's like, because we played the action castle thing. But like we had that on like a floppy disk at some point,
like the 5.5 inch,
or whatever size that is, the big one. We had that on a big floppy disk, or somebody had it, or I don't remember. It was on a floppy disk, and we played it on that super mega old like IBM thing.
Yes,
that we had. I don't know if you remember that one, but like that was there. There was a football game, and there was like something. I was like something like Frogger, but I think it was a donkey, right? Something like that. I'm pretty sure that's a real thing that I remember, and didn't just like make it up out of the middle of nowhere.
Probably been
haunting my dreams for 30 years. I'm pretty sure. I mean, like something like that. Those were games I remember playing. But I remember there was like a football game where it was like text commands, and then you would like click the thing you wanted to do, and then it would like, I think it would run a generator and be like, oh yeah, you succeeded, or oh nope, you failed. Boom, there you go, done. Like,
is that what that was?
Yeah, it was like that. It was like a text-based football game. You would
Interesting.
Yeah, I seem to recall doing that. So that was the thing, because I remember I cracked the code way before all these dudes in their West Coast offense, right? Like, if you did the 2-minute drill thing, you scored like all the time. So I was doing the hurry up offense way before Chip Kelly. All right, I just want you to know that.
Okay. Well, that's,
that was
good
a
job.
thing.
Good job.
That happened. Right. So I just want
we believe you. Good job.
Yeah. Should. Okay. I was there, man. I was there.
That's great. Well, I'm glad, that's something you'd be proud of. That. It's good.
There you go.
Oh.
Yes, I think I found this. It. Okay. I'll figure it out later. But yeah, so that's a big thing this week. It was this. It was called Donkey.bas. Boom. There you go.
Okay.
This is a game. I remember this. Found it. Win. I just Googled donkey floppy disk. And ta-da. I'm pretty sure this is it. Look at that. There we go. All right. Anyway, back to real life things. Before we dive in to the stuff, right? I do have a little review segment for you today, right? Briefly. Inspired by the book that we're reading here.
Yes.
Did you know that World War I death metal is a thing?
World War I death metal is a
yes.
I did not.
Right. So apparently there are many bands, right, that are that fall into some sort of death metal-ish genre, right, that are themed around World War I. Right? So there are World War I themed metal albums. Now, many of these are of the extreme metal persuasion, right? But we do have a band review for you this week.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This was
so
I'm sitting down.
Did I listen?
Okay. And real quick, I do need to clarify. This is not death metal from World War I. This is this is death metal using World War I themes, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just
so
but still.
Yes. It's a bit odd. It's very mashy uppy, right? Because the fact that it's a themed album / band, that's very proggy, right?
Yeah.
That's very prog rock themed. But it's definitely not prog, right? It's 100% not prog. So this week I have listened to a little bit, right? I listened to one band in particular, so maybe in the future I'll have more of these. We'll see if I can handle this much death metal in my life. But because I'm not I do like metal. I'm not really an extreme metal person, right? It's really not my vibe. I can appreciate some of it, but I'm not drawn to it. I'm not oh yes, super extreme music is my thing. Not really. But this week I would like to talk to you about the band 1914.
Okay, 1914, right? The band.
Yes. So this is a Ukrainian band, right? Shout out Ukrainian friends, Slava Ukraina, right?
1914.
So it's a little bit
band. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Yes, yeah, I got to put band there. So this is a band themed around World War I. It's this band is kind of it is blackened death metal. So it's death metal, but it has black metal influences, right? But it also has a lot more doom-y influences because a lot of it is like slower paced and like groovier, right? So I did like this one kind of because it's not just like a lot of like death metal and black metal is just like and it's very like it's like getting hit in the head with a hammer just for the whole time, and that's not fun for me. But this one has like riffs and grooves and like interesting things, so it's like a little more slow.
Hmm.
So I appreciate that, right? But they do have some pretty sweet stuff. Both their two of their albums, or at least are online. You can just like stream them on YouTube and just like listen to them. So I was definitely maybe cooking spaghetti the other day listening to 1914.
Interesting combination.
Yeah, yeah. I listened to two albums. I listened to The Blind Leading the Blind, which is like their middle album, which is pretty good. But their most recent one from 2001, Where Fear and Weapons Meet, is pretty excellent.
Really?
Right? I actually really like that one.
Okay.
It's a lot more. It's pretty melodic. There is like blasty stuff and like hardcore stuff in there, but it's like it's a little more melodic and like medium tempo stuff. And the thing that's kind of prog rocky slash like power metal-y about it, because when you think about like historical rock albums, you think like power metal, you think like Sabaton, right? At least I do. But they also have a lot of like they use a lot of samples in the songs, like stitches or like engine noises or like battle-y sounds or stuff like that, right? So sometimes it's like an actual historic recording speech that they put in there. Other times it's like from a movie or something, right? And it's like they're playing music and then there's like this monologue thing happening from like a movie clip or something. It's pretty cool and like atmospheric, right? So again, not like every song is wonderful, but I do like quite I do like them. I do like some of them, right? So there you go. That is the
And again, how would you like is the okay, you mentioned the prog rock thing, and that's kind of where I was kind of thinking this was going with this is a very specific theme,
very niche.
Right? Like, is
like
that
hyper niche?
Are there a lot of other bands that are
There are. There are. It's a whole subgenre, right? It's like a whole thing.
It's very odd. It's okay.
It is a very weirdly niche thing. Like it's like what? So it is. I did listen briefly to a couple other like just like singular songs from like other bands, right? Didn't love them quite as much, right? Just on first listen, like some of them I was like, ooh, that's a little that's not like what I like. But
okay,
you know, it's not bad. It's just like, maybe that's not like my general cup of tea, right? Because I just don't love, like I said, I don't really just love like extreme metal, right? I'm not really into that genre, you know.
yeah,
But like, it's just I want in stuff a lot, but it's not like bad. I guess I don't know. I don't have a ear to judge it, right? But yeah, so but I thought it was pretty interesting, right? And like I said, I think I liked the Where Fear and Weapons Meet one better, right? But, you know, I don't know how much better, but I did like it. I was trying to find the song list. Some of the songs are pretty good. Like the opening track is pretty good. The Warren, the FN 380 ACP song is kind of intense, right? They named the song after the serial number of the gun that killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Which
oh my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah. Is a yeah,
that's a thing.
right? It is a thing, right? There are very themed, right? Like around the thing. I think the other thing I liked about this band is that they don't like they do have like the vocals are not like I struggle with extreme vocal performances, right? Because I can't figure out for the life of me what is happening, right? When they're just like screaming or doing that like really like weird yelling thing,
Oh yeah.
or like the shrieking thing.
Ugh.
I don't know what to do with that. But this one, you can like hear words and understand what's going on. There's
Huh.
like a story going on in some of these songs, right? So that, okay,
That
I'm
helps.
picking, you can be like, oh, I understand the theme here. I understand what's going on. Right. So a lot of it is just like highlighting how bad World War One is, right? A lot of these
Sure.
bands are quite staunchly like anti-war, and like the whole point is to be like, look,
Oh,
remember how bad this is? Remember how much war sucks? Remember that?
understood.
Remember?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Remember, we don't like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
remember how not cool this is? Remember that, guys? Remember how not fun this is? Yeah, that's what you should remember. So that's
Mm.
yeah. That's what I did this week. I listened to extreme World War One themed blackened death metal.
I did nothing of the sort. But I'm glad you did. That
I'm not expecting you to do this, but
No,
so just so you know,
yeah.
there may be slight other album or song reviews, maybe if I can
Oh.
muster if I can muster any other ones that I like. I think out of the snippets that because I did listen to like a couple other bands, like not like full long things or whatever, but out of the ones that I listened to briefly, this one is definitely my favorite one. Right. Just that I vibed with the most. Maybe because it was a little bit slower, right? A little more into my like it was a little bit more familiar, I think, maybe.
Sure.
And
That makes sense.
not so like alien and like, what is happening? But I do find like the theming and stuff kind of cool, right? It's interesting to have like a genre theme, like even if it is like extremely niche and whatever, like World War One metal is a weird. I was not expecting that. Right? I've heard other songs that are, but again, like it's like very power metal-y, or like power metal is like big, like epic, like anthem-y, like you know. Ah. So like Sabaton is the one you think of, right? And they have several songs that are like about World War One. I think they have one about like sinking the Bismarck. That sounds right. Like the whole song is about the sinking of the Bismarck.
Well, now that's
because
there's an old time one that's about the singing with like that's we gotta sink the Bismarck 'cause the world depends on us. We hit the decks a running and we spun the guns around. That's an old song.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know. I don't know if they. I don't know. I don't remember what the Sabaton version sounds like. This 1914 also did. There is a version of the Green Fields of France, which I was not expecting. That's like a very slow, somber acoustic guitar song. This was like a death metal cover of the Green Fields of France. So that was jarring.
Oh, okay. Real quick, I'm letting you know. Yes, "Sink the Bismarck" was originally written by Johnny Horton in long time ago. That's "Sink the Bismarck" is a March song. Where is the date? 1941. Oh no, sorry, no. He wrote it in. Oh, where is this? Oh, in like the 60s. Was whenever he had this. Yeah. Yes, whenever that song came out. Yep, in the UK, it peaked in 1960.
Isn't that the same guy that wrote Green Fields of France? Did he have a whole World War One themed album? What's going on here?
I think Johnny Horton also had one that he did a version of I just was singing it today. Oh no. Oh, the kids are gonna Johnny Horton. Okay, hold on. He did the one where he's we fired our guns and the British kept it coming. There wasn't nigh as many as there was a while ago.
Oh yes.
That one. Johnny Horton, American musician. Battle of New Orleans is that one. Sink the Bismarck. Yeah, he did. I don't know. Battle of the Bull Run. a couple of those other ones. So maybe, I don't know. But I do see the Sabaton version here. So, because I did Gotta Sink the Bismarck Death Metal to pull up that, because I was like, what is so now I want to listen to that and see if it's anything like
the other one. See if
the
it's
other
even. I wonder.
I don't think it's going to be anything like the other one.
Probably not. Sabaton is very like giant and epic and insanely Swedish. So like they're
yeah, probably not.
So we'll see.
Okay.
Yes,
I like this.
There you go.
Okay.
But yeah, so 1914, right?
1914.
That's the band that we listened to this week. Very World War I death metal-y.
Love it.
Right. So very interesting. But I think Where Fear and Weapons Meet, their newest album, was my favorite one. I think I liked more songs on that one. That doesn't mean I did not like songs on the other one, obviously. But I think I liked on The Blind Leading the Blind. I didn't like as many on that one. It wasn't bad, though. It was also just not my wheelhouse, like I said. So this is an outsider's strange overview of World War I death metal. There you go. There you go.
Surprise. Definitely was not
death metal review.
Definitely was not anticipating that. But since we're talking about World War I,
yeah, it is theming appropriate.
It is thematically go into this.
True.
And go into what I read. Right, we were supposed to read chapter 13. Is that what we're supposed to read?
Yeah.
Okay.
I read 13 to
19? 18?
Well, I mean, I stopped at chapter 19. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I read 13 through 18.
18. Yes. That's what we were supposed to do.
Okay.
Yep.
And
so,
if I can find out where chapter 13 begins.
Yeah, hold on. I had to. It's to do.
I always forget to employ the double bookmark strategy where I always keep meaning to be like, oh, yes, I'll mark where I started. Yeah. I can't remember to do that. I will say before we start, I also told we were eating with some of our friends the other day, and he always asks me what book I'm reading, right? Partially because he's an English teacher, right? And this is just how he starts conversations. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm reading a Farewell to Arms, and he was like, why?
Oh no! Like
he was just like very like he was not expecting that, right? Because usually it's like, oh, I'm reading this history book, or I'm reading this murder mystery, I'm reading this blah blah. And I was like, oh yeah, Farewell to Arms, and he was like, what?
Like I know, I'm really
he did like the old double take, like literally like.
Yeah, I know. I'm asked that question quite a lot. No, I'm kidding. That's good. But yeah, so we find ourselves what? He's in Milan.
Yeah. We got off the train, right? Early in the morning, unloaded in the freight yard, which is, I understand it's like necessary, but what a visual, just like unloading hospital patients in a freight yard, right? Like not even the passenger yard, right? Like the freight yard. Right, with like the hay and the metal scraps and all stuff, like probably like cannons on other things, like cannons going out, wounded people coming back. Like,
yep.
What a visual! Like even in a sort of throwaway sentence, right? The first sentence: we got into Milan early in the morning, and they unloaded us in the freight yard. Right?
Yep.
What a jarring, like. Just visualization. Wow, that was harder to say than I anticipated.
I'm glad it happened to you for once, not me.
Yeah. Of the mechanization of World War I, right? Where we're just like unloading all the wounded, like train loads of wounded soldiers, just like coming and dumping them in the freight yard and distributing them to various hospitals, and like, holy cow, man, that's.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yep. And it's interesting. I'm actually reading through the Edison biography, and I'm real quick on that. Sorry, real quick. I was wrong about how this was structured. They start. So the eras of his life are broken down into the main obsession of himself at that time, and those are the general categories. And they work backwards. He starts with the most recent obsession and goes backwards through time. So like, yeah, it's an amazing mechanic to present the life of an inventor because they'll refer to things that we haven't learned about yet. But it's like he
coming soon.
Because they'll say things. So right now I'm in like the war side of things where I had completely forgotten that Edison batteries were like the world's, like the gold standard for how batteries should be. Yeah. And they're talking about actively right now how he's trying to he's trying to get the US Navy to buy his batteries to put in their submersibles because they were currently using lead acid batteries that were open top would like slosh around inside a submarine because the commander was like, why can't we? Or because he was like, why can't we go down at more of like than a 12-degree pitch? And he's like, oh, if we do that, they spill over and it'll disintegrate our hull. He was like, oh, but his whole thing was
on the battery. We do it.
Yeah, well, you can't do that with lead acid because of the reaction that's going on. But anyway,
true.
So, but what we're starting this chapter, and then but also having this in the background. There were people, and Edison was one of them, that was fully convinced that we had moved beyond war because we had advanced technology so much so that the devastation would obviously be apparent to anybody so we would avoid war because because the technology was so great, like we were never going to go to war again, and we would just have peace eternally. And he's saying that before World War I, set off, right? And it's like there were people at the time who just thought that the mass carnage and things like that would never take place again. And then you jump into this book and you're like, yeah, unloaded in a freight car. By the freight load, bodies were being brought in various states of, torn up and, obliteration.
That's nuts, right? Like, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. Just wow. That's
yeah. He was actively going around being like, oh, the armies are so great, nobody's going to want to go to war because there's so much power and we're just going to have peace and it's going to be great. We couldn't possibly get into fighting over anything again. It's completely solved, right? We have enough advantage that no one's going to want to fight again. I'm like, brilliant man.
Yeah.
Very, very, very wrong.
Very wrong. Yeah, that's ouch. Dang, Thomas. You're wrong about that one. Big time.
Yeah. Like also side note here, like he firmly believed that if you wore clothing too tight, it would burst your micro blood vessels in your body and like constrict it so much, so that he always wore jackets one size up and his shoes were 2 sizes too large.
Wouldn't the shoe things be like the most annoying thing ever? Like,
yeah, they talked about how
jacket, right? Like, because hoodies are a thing, so like whatever. But like the shoes, though, imagine the rubbing and the uncomfortableness. Like, that's terrible. I don't know. That's an awful plan.
Yeah. So anyway, I know. Anyway, that was a sidetrack to this because, but yes, that's so. I'm reading that biography, and he's just making these broad proclamations, and everyone else is like, yeah, this is going to be great. There's going to be no problems, and then I get thrown back into this book, and it's like, yep, yep, freight loads, and we have a very comical interlude here, getting into the
we do have like a comic relief moment almost, like carrying him to the room, like the stretcher won't fit in the elevator, so they're like, all right, boss, we're gonna carry you, like
yep. and they were gonna send the stretcher up through the stairs or something, which they couldn't do with him, I guess, because it was too tight. So yeah, they were gonna. I thought that was great. It's like, oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so he shows up and he's the first person there, right? And so they're like, "Hey, you know, we need to come in." And they're like, "What? You can't come." He's like, yes, I am. Here's my stuff. Come, hold on." There was no one there. They came. Where are they? No one knows. They're all asleep, right? Like, we don't know where everybody's at.
Yeah. Well, and
so they're just
saying,
like, just go into a room. So they just go to the first room and just drop him off in there.
Well,
like no sheets on the bed, no nothing. He's just like, that one.
Yeah.
Pick that one. Go.
He directs his carriers to go find an open room because the lady's standing there being like, no, we weren't expecting anybody. The rooms are ready. There's no rooms. There's no rooms. And at first, because there is a little bit of confusion because she's like, no, there are no rooms. And it appears as though like they're full. And basically what she's saying is, we're not ready for any patients yet. Like, we're not open technically. And he's just like,
we don't have rooms because they're occupied. We don't have rooms because we have no staff. Like, we weren't expecting patients yet. It's like, surprise, I'm here. Put me in that room.
Yeah, because she said they are all empty. You are the first. It's just like, what? Wait a minute. Oh no. Take me to some room. Yeah, anyway.
Put me down. So like he has to put him down, and then like they're talking, it's like trying to figure out, is Miss Barkley here? And they're like, what are you talking about? And he's just laying in his bed with no sheets at the moment. And the other lady comes in, she's like, we have to take your temperature, right? And she's asking him stuff about his wounds. And he's like, she does the thermometer thing. And he's like, the Italians don't do that. And she's like, shush. And then he says, what is my temperature? And you can't know. And he's like, wait, what?
I love that.
It's almost normal. What do you mean it's almost normal?
Almost normal.
She's like, what do you mean you don't have a fever? He's like, yeah, I don't have a fever, but my legs are full of iron. And she's like, well, you should have a fever. He's like, well, I don't. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she said, yeah, if you have any foreign bodies in your legs, they would set up on inflammation and you'd have fever. All right. I said, we'll see what comes out. Right.
Yeah.
Basically saying like,
I could tell you it's in there right now.
Yeah. We'll see what they pull out of these legs. Oh yeah. Well, and is this where they start getting what happens to this? Oh, right. Where he's
this is like they can't get a hold of the doctor because he's at the lake. Right. And so they come in and they like make the bed with him in it, which he was very impressed by. He was, it's pretty cool.
Yes.
But so you can't have anything unless the doctor prescribes it. I was like, well, where's the doctor? We don't know. We can't reach him.
We phoned him. He's at the lake. They keep saying we phoned him. We phoned him. He's
like, well, we phoned him. He was like, when's he coming back? We don't know. We found him. He's like, what's he doing there? Swimming? No, he has a clinic there.
And
why don't you get another doctor? No, he'll come soon.
He'll come. We phoned him. I was immediately thrown into every sort of customer service interaction where you're like, I need help. And they're like, okay, we'll get you help. And you're like, when's the help coming? Well, we're working on the help. And you're like, that's not helpful. Like, we're working on the help. You're like, stop saying the same thing. You're not actually doing anything. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that hasn't changed at all.
Yeah. And I haven't read this other book in a long time, but like the similarities to like Catch-22, which is a book just highlighting just the absurdity of like military bureaucracy. They just keep popping up in this book are kind of hilarious to me, right? Like,
sure.
Right. And so they're telling him like, you can't do all this. You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. And he's like, fine, you can go. And then he gets the porter and was like, hey, bring me some wine and some vermouth. Because apparently people just drink vermouth. I didn't know that was a thing. And just odd, whatever. And some newspaper. And as many newspapers as you can find. Bring it back here. And then he just like sticks them under the bed.
Yep. And he hides it.
I mean, kind of.
I mean,
not real well, because like the lady finds it later in the next chapter. Yeah. But like, he just like doesn't really hide it. He just sets it down on the other side of the bed. It was like, haha, can't see it now. Sucker. It was like,
I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, that whole first chapter is just this like bizarre, like nothing. It's like just kind of this one. It's kind of like a levity chapter almost. It feels like because like we're kind of even though like he doesn't really take anything seriously, just like highlighting how not well everything works here is just it's kind of funny given the surrounding situation, right?
Well,
like the irony of the comedy of errors that's occurring at this moment compared to the rest of what was happening earlier. It's like it's very humorous.
well,
Not in like in a dark way, not in like a haha belly laugh way. Like
yes. Yeah. But right here, it's the last page. Yeah, it's all going. He's having these back and forth with the nurse and kind of the ribbing and what's going on. And he's being a little bit of a hard to deal with by some of the nurses are saying. And then that night, it says, I watched for a while and then went to sleep. I slept heavily, except once I woke sweating and scared and then went back to sleep trying to stay outside of my dreams. I woke for good long before it was light and heard roosters crowing and stayed on awake until it began to be light. I was tired, and once it was really light, I went back to sleep again.
Yeah.
All right. Here's that first glimpse into some of that
the trauma.
Right?
Like, yeah.
You are really impacted. And he doesn't explain why or what dreams he was intentionally trying to stay outside of. But this was definitely again, the levity of all of this and how he's kind of blustering off all of this stuff going, no, there's deep, deep trauma here. Right. Like, and this just how it's presented here. I just love this, except once I woke weighing scared and went back to sleep. I trying to stay outside of my dreams, like just a place that he didn't want to go back to and was just trying to focus on something else.
Yeah. So like at the end of all this, like, but actually though,
but actually
trying to make light of everything, but actually though, like,
yeah. Yeah, which actually is an interesting tie-in because I know in later chapters, I know we'll get to this, but maybe I'll save it to then. I'll save it. Aha.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so then we go to chapter 14.
Yeah, we can have a more slight comedic timing because he calls her the barber.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Does the barber come in this chapter? That's what I can't remember.
That's later. I thought that was much later.
They're calling for.
Oh, can I have a barber? Yes.
Right.
Oh, no, you're right. Right. Yeah.
So coming soon, the barber. But so he's talking and sort of making friends with the nurse, right? The other nurse, right? And she tells him that
is this Gage?
Yeah. And then she says that Miss Barkley has come, and he's like, "Aha, how exciting!" Right. So
Gage is not impressed with Miss Barkley.
Yes, and he's like, "No, it's fine. Don't worry."
Yeah.
And oh no, it is this chapter where the barber does come
later.
Right. He looks at him. No, it's on the next page here.
Sorry. Yeah.
Right.
I love this so much. Yeah, this was good.
So the barber comes in here and he's just like yelling, and he's not talking. And he's like, what news? He's like, what news? He's like, of what? The war. He's like, the enemies are everywhere. He like won't talk to him. Right.
I know.
He's just like staring at him and he says, glaring at him. And
he says, what's the matter with you? I asked. I am an Italian. I will not communicate with the enemy. Because if he was crazy, the sooner I could get out from under the razor, the better.
Yeah. That's what, once I tried to get a look at him. Beware, he said. The razor is sharp. Right? He tried to pay him and tip him, and he returned all of the money. He's like, I will not. I am not at the front, but I am an Italian. And then he asked the porter, he's like, what in the world was going on? He's like, okay, so he didn't understand me. When I said, you're an American, he thought I said Austrian.
Oh,
so
I said.
It's like, that makes sense.
This is good.
And the porter is dying laughing. And Henry's like, haha, get out of here. Go.
Yeah. Oh, and I said,
He's like,
ho
he
ho. I
went
said,
out and I heard him laughing down the hallway.
yeah. I said, ho ho. I said bitterly, how funny if he would have cut off my throat. Ho ho. Oh, that was good. Yep.
I like that part a lot.
That
sounds really fun.
That part was good. I really that was that I think kind of funniest part of the book so far. I think that was a very good telling of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we do find Miss Barkley comes in as he leaves, as the porter leaves, right? And he is very excited and immediately falls in love with her all over again here. Right? Just like when she comes in the room. And so they spend some time together. And they're like, okay, look, but we have to be low key, because if they catch us and know that we're like together, like they'll just make me go somewhere else. And you don't want that, do you? And he's like, oh, no, I don't actually. So maybe not. So they have this like reintroduction, and then she tells him that the doctor called, right? So the Miss Gage comes back in after, but after this whole Barkley thing, he does say like, I know I had not wanted to fall in love with her. I had not wanted to fall in love with anyone, but God knows I had lay on the bed in that room in the hospital in Milan, and all sorts of things went through my head, but it felt wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Gage comes in and says, hey, the doctor will be here this afternoon. Bang.
He telephoned from Lake Como.
Yeah.
He telephoned. Oh man, this was another fantastic chapter on the retelling of like the perceptions of positions in the military.
Yes, this chapter is I think the best one that we read this time.
Okay.
This was one I want to talk about. Like, this is the most ridiculous one.
Yes. Yep, because he starts off with the doctor coming in. What did he say? The doctor was a thin, quiet little man who seemed disturbed by the war. And he starts to cut into this. And the first thing I highlighted with this was, it said, the anesthetized area was clearly defined by the patient. And after a time, the doctor's fragile delicacy was exhausted. He's the patient. And basically, he's sitting there screaming about the pain that he's using to get these things out.
Yes. Right. And he's like, so this whole thing is going on. And he's like, well, yeah. Plus also when they come in, right. They come in with.
He didn't come in
more
yet.
than one.
That's after the X-rays come in, because right now he's going back and forth with the X-ray tech, I think.
Well, there were So before he came back, 3 doctors came into the room. I have noticed that doctors who fail in the practice of medicine always have a tendency to seek one another's company and aid in consultation. A doctor who cannot take out your appendix properly will recommend to you a doctor who will be unable to remove your tonsils without success. These were 3 such doctors. I know. So these people, when they come in to read the X-rays, these people he is not. He's like, no. And so there's this whole thing. He's like, oh yes, very clean, very nice. It's all sterilized. Please move your knee. I can't. We'll test the articulation. So he like grabs it and tries to pull it, and he's like, that hurts. Yes, a little farther. No, that's enough. That's as far as it goes, I said.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
And then they're like, show me the left leg. Like, that is the left leg, doctor.
And then he says the phrase that the kind of person who like that when he writes this phrase that the doctor says, I'm going, that is exactly what an incompetent person would say when he says, oh yes, you're right, I was looking from a different angle.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh no,
you don't know what you're doing. Oh,
you can't tell left from right. Oh no. Right. Yeah, this is then they get in this argument. He's like, it's a question of time. 3 months, 6 months, probably. And he's like, wait, 6 months for what? I asked. Yes. 6 months for the projectile to insist before the knee can be opened safely. I don't believe you, I said. Do you want to keep your knee, young man? No, I said.
And then he says, I want it cut off so I can wear a hook on it.
He is joking, said the house doctor, and patted my shoulder very down.
Oh my gosh.
So he says basically you have to stay just in this bed for 6 months, and we can't operate on you until cysts develop around the shrapnel because we can't take out the shrapnel without that. And he's like, no.
Because then he calls the house doctor back in and is basically like, okay, tell me like what's actually going on here. And he's like, no, this is the safe way. This is what we have to do, right? And this is a very good surgeon, right? This guy's perfectly fine. And our guy keeps probing this doctor of like, no, I don't believe you.
But so again, we get to the army bit, right?
Yes.
He says, do you really think yourself I'll have to wait that long? That is the safe way. Who is that first captain? Oh, he's a very excellent surgeon in Milan. He's a first captain, isn't he? Yes, but he's an excellent surgeon. I don't want my leg fooled with by a first captain. If he was any good, he would be a major. I don't know what a first captain is, doctor. Or I know what a first captain is.
I know what a first captain is. He's going, nope. I do not let him near me because I know only, yes, he's an excellent surgeon. I would rather have his judgment than any surgeon I know. And then he's like, could somebody else see it? Like, certainly.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
So he's getting a second opinion, right?
Yes.
He's basically said he wants a second opinion. So,
and he keeps saying this again, this whole like incompetency. If he's like, I don't want to be in bed. He's like, oh no, you wouldn't be in bed the whole time. You'd have some sun cure. Then you could do some light exercise. And he's like, yeah, but I don't want to be in bed.
Some sun cure.
Yeah. But they used to do. They used to wheel you out. Right. But he's just like, but that comes up again where he's like, I don't want to be in bed. He's like, oh no, you wouldn't. It's like, you don't understand. Right?
Yeah.
You just don't understand.
So then they get 2 hours later, Dr. Valentini comes, right? And they have another little conversation. Dr. Valentini is very very wiry fella, right? He's very animated. That's a word I couldn't think of. Right. So he's just there, blah, blah. He's like, does it hurt? Does he feel? He's like, yes, a lot. He's like, blah, blah. So he talks about all kinds of stuff. He's like sort of rambling on. And it's also interesting because when he asked the other doctor, he's like, will you have a drink with me? He's like, no, I'll never drink. He's like, hey, Dr. Valentini, will you have a drink with me? He's like, certainly. Let's go.
Well, and again, I was under the impression that this was an Italian doctor, right?
Yeah, Yeah.
So again, and the way he writes the Italian doctor's conversation, right? It's like, it's just move like, oh, let me show these plates. How are you doing? Oh, this is great over here. Like, and versus the stilted, kind of regimented American doctors and their conversation and their incompetency along with it.
Well, yeah, because this whole paragraph is the Italian doctor talking and just like asking questions and then like asking another question and like not right. Like, isn't this a bloody war? How does it feel? You're a fine boy. I'll make you better than new. Does that hurt? You bet it hurts. How can they love to hurt you, these doctors? Blah. What have they all done for you so far? Can that girl speak Italian? She should learn. What a lovely girl she is. I'll teach her for you. Like,
yeah. He's like, oh, but I won't take her from you.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So he's like, well, okay. So Doc, when do you think you can operate on me? He's like, tomorrow.
Yep. I love that. Like, right. Yes, that's what we're doing here.
So they and then he's like, I like how he goes, tomorrow morning, not before. Your stomach must be emptied. You must be washed out. I'll see the old lady downstairs and leave instructions. Goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll also bring you some better cognac than that. You'll be very comfortable here.
And then how does this chapter end?
It's my favorite, right? He waved from the doorway. His mustaches went straight up. His brown face was smiling. There was a star in a box on his sleeve because he was a major. That's
because he was a major.
Because he was a major.
Like, yes.
He's like, see, I knew it. I don't want to first non-major, first whatever. I'm gonna get out of here.
I know what that is. Oh man. Man, yeah. So I think this chapter, I can't remember, 15 or maybe 14 was the first time where we had gotten some more language of him being hot. Again, I'm trying to track this theme of how often this comes up and in what certain circumstances of the oppressiveness of certain things. We got it
Yeah,
during
well,
the
it
war.
definitely is in full effect in like 16, right
16,
here,
yes.
like
Yeah.
after this, because the next couple chapters, right, 16, 17, 18 are all like super short, and it's just like blah, like you just kind of blitz through all of these pretty quickly, right? It's only a few pages. All those 3 chapters are only, like in my book, it's only like, what's this, like 5 pages, really, 6 maybe, like that's it. So it's not
Yes.
it's not a lot. So we're kind of like, yeah, he does have the surgery, right?
Does.
But oh, excuse me. Yeah, so they have Catherine is staying the night with him, right? She's
Oh.
working the night shift, and she's volunteered to be on night shift, and so that they can be together and just like hang out and other nefarious things in the hospital wing.
Well, and this is another thing. He's very insistent that she's always there, right? She's always there.
Yeah.
I think this is part of, sure, he's like, yeah, I don't want to ever be away from you. But flashback to the conversation about him trying to stay out of his dreams, being scared at night.
Yes.
It's not mentioned here, but we already know that he's struggling with night terrors. I think this is definitely part of his insistence of never being alone at night because he's terrified. Like, I'm reading between some lines here, but like, I think really that's and he's using her as being like, no, of course I love you, and let's be together at night because I love you, and that's what we're supposed to do because we love you. But really, it's like, I can't stand being alone.
Yeah, I can't be alone here. I can't. Yeah.
Don't no. It's but he can't just tell her that. Like, it's anyway. There's a lot in here. So.
Yeah, so that's what this chapter is. They're kind of talking about that stuff, right? And they're talking about like their pasts, right? And talking about the other nurses, and right. And it's like, well, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And he's like, well, we'll get well, but you get well quickly, darling, and we'll go somewhere. I was like, and then what? Well, maybe the war will be over. It can't always go on. It's like, I will get well. I said, Valentini will fix me, right?
Yeah. Don't forget, he has a very lovely temperature, and maybe their children will have lovely temperature too.
Of course, whatever that means.
Like, what is so weird?
Yeah. She's I don't.
Anyway, yes. But yeah, they're talking about kind of what they're gonna do now together. Yeah, you can't go. He'll quickly. Yeah, he should. Oh! I do have to also point this out when he's going back about Valentini. When he says, "I will get well," Valentini will fix me. The next line from our nurse lady, she says, "He should with those mustaches." Like, yes, the power of the mustaches. We can be not be denied here.
Yeah. Oh, and she also says, make sure you think about something else tomorrow, not us, because people get very blabby under anesthetic. And he's like, what should I think about? Anything but us. Think about other people or some other girl. He's like, no, I don't know.
I know.
And then there's this whole this is very like, this whole conversation reads as like middle school dating. Right? Like, or like very early, like dating, like when you're like very young, right? Like, oh, but you don't have to tell me, blah, blah. I know you've dated other people. No, you don't have to tell me about them really, but I want to know, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, what is going on here? What are the 17-year-old girls going on? What's like,
don't tell me, but also she keeps saying, don't tell me. No, I don't want to know. You're right. And then it's like, oh, here's another I'm going to ask you another question on that exact same topic, but don't tell me. But also, like, you're like, oh no, she really wants to know this.
Like, you really do love me, right? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Anyway, blah blah blah. But you really do, right? Like, yes. Like, oh, what in the like? This is red flag city, right? This viewer.
Yep.
So that's that whole chapter there.
That's
17 again, very short, but it's very again. So that's the night before the surgery, right? 17 starts when I was awake after the operation. I had not been away. You don't go away. They only choke you. It's not like dying. It is just a chemical choking, so you don't feel. And afterwards, you might as well have been drunk, except when you throw up, there is nothing but bile, and you don't feel better afterwards. It's not gone well, right? And
Well,
anesthetics in 1917 or whatever, not great.
Yep. Turns out.
I don't know if they're just like, here's some ether.
Like,
oh. So, but 2.5 hours, right, of leg surgery.
And he didn't say anything silly.
That's right. There's also other patients in the hospital. Some people with malaria.
Oh, yes. A nice boy.
Yay. Also with malaria and jaundice.
Yes.
Right. Again, malaria and jaundice. This is another catch-22 connection for me, because whenever Yossarian is in the hospital, he like checks himself into the hospital because he doesn't want to go fight in the war, because he doesn't want to get killed by people he doesn't know. He tells them that he is lightly jaundiced, right? And like he tells them he feels sick, so they can't discharge him, but they also can't find anything wrong with him, so they don't discharge him because he keeps telling them they feel sick. It's a whole thing. So like Anyway, so there's some other people hanging out here now. So the other nurses have some things to do. And he's talking to one of the other nurses and about Miss Barkley, right? And he's like, this whole thing, right? She does not believe that this is going to go well for him, right? She could tell there's some red flags in the situation, right? Because he's like, will you come to our wedding, Fergie? You won't get married. Yes, so we will. No, you won't. Why? You'll fight before you marry. We never fight. You've got time. We don't fight. Or you'll die then. Fight or die. That's what people do. They don't marry.
Yeah.
She does not believe.
She does not believe in this. Right? And she definitely knows. Yes. Don't fight then. And don't get her into trouble. I won't. Mind you, watch out. I don't want her or any of these war babies. Because probably previous to this, she said, you get her in trouble and I'll kill you. It's like, I won't get her in trouble.
Yeah. And she's because she says like when you skip down a couple lines, right? She's talking about the you've got to, you're getting in trouble because the Miss Van Campen, the head nurse, is mad that you're sleeping all morning, right? Because you're up all night, right? And you got to let her off night shift. You can't make her do night shift all the time, because none of the other nurses are going to complain that she's doing all of the night shift duty. But she keeps volunteering it for it. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, sure, go for it. Right.
Yep.
But she can see that she's getting run down, right? She can see that Miss Barkley, Catherine, is getting run down, and goes, you can't do that to her. You've got to let her rest, and you can't just make her do that all the time. So you have to talk to her, because she won't do it unless you ask her to. So I'm telling you, you are going to do this.
Yes. Yeah, and he does this in the most like non I don't know, like smooth way to Miss Gage, because he calls for Miss Gage and he's like, I just want to talk to you. Don't you think Miss Barkley ought to go off a night of duty for a while? And she's like, I'm a friend of yours. You don't have to talk to me like that. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, don't be
he's
silly.
like, oh, what do you mean? Yeah, I'm your friend. Don't forget that.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's like, and he's like, yeah, you're awfully nice. She's like, no, I'm not. I know who you think is nice, but I am your friend. So I'll do it.
I thought this was very interesting, because basically she's like, no, don't lump me in with those other people. Like, I know who you like. I took this as her saying,
yeah, she's like, I know what you're doing.
I know what you're doing, and I know what you associate with, and I know what kind of people you have. I'm not like them. Don't call me nice, because I'm not like those people. Like, that's the context that I got from this.
Yeah, right. She's like, don't don't flatter me. I'm not gonna fall for your trick because he does like smooth talk stuff and right try to like play it off, and like he gets by with some of that sometimes. She's like, "Don't play games with me, you dumpty.
Yes.
I know what you're doing. You don't have to lie to me. I know, okay, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm your friend. But don't not because you're buttering me up. And I think I have to. It's because I want
Exactly.
to, and I'm going to because I actually care about you. Shut up." Like,
Yeah. Well, and even in the end, she says, she leaned over. I'm your friend. I know you are. No, you don't, but you will someday. Basically, like
yeah,
you don't know what actual like kindness is, or like what genuine, help and like it is in the world, because
yeah. I mean, he basically admitted that earlier in book one when he was talking to the priest, right?
yeah,
Because the priest was like, "You're a good guy," and he's like, "I'm not though." Right? And here it's like the opposite. He's like, "Oh, but you are," and she's like, "No, you're not." Like he's like, "I am these things." No, no, I know what you're really doing.
I know you're right. Yeah. And she's telling him, like, you don't even know like what genuine friendship is, because it's all a charade, it's all a game, it's all just toying back and forth. Like, you don't actually know. So fine. Like, you will know. You'll look back on this and understand that this was true kindness and true friendship. So, like, just releases him.
Yeah.
Yep. And Catherine goes off and gets some good sleep, and then she comes back.
Yes, for a couple to 3 days off night.
3
right?
whole days.
Yeah. And then we're back to Red Flag Central in our last chapter.
Oh, I mean,
right? He can get out and about and go around and stuff now. It's part of his thing. He's going out and they go to they've got a restaurant they go to. They like the head waiter guy. So they go there a lot. And George, the head waiter, he saves him a table. He kind of was giving him the whole deal. They have this weird interaction where, like, he's a little short of money and George just loaned him some. He's like, "I know how it is. I know how a man gets short. If you or your lady need money, I've got money." Right? Like, like that's a little bit weird, but okay. So they one evening they're doing this and they get back to the hospital and they go in their separate doors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back upstairs.
Come back together. Yeah.
Come back together. And they start talking again about what they're gonna do, right? Like after this.
Yeah, because
right?
they transitioned to it of it seemed to work sometimes, but that was probably because we were thinking the same thing anyway. Oh, because they were trying to, again, this whole love puppy thing where they're like, what am I thinking now? What am I thinking now? And then he jumps to, we said to each other that we were married the first day she had come back to the hospital, and we counted months from our wedding day. So oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So like they're talking about, well, he brings up like, well, couldn't we actually be married? And she's like, no, because they'd send me away. I'd have to go home. He's like, I could come home on leave. He's like, you can't get to Scotland and back here on leave. Shut up. Yes. And so like, we don't need to marry because we are married, right? It's this very like, again, very weird, right? I couldn't be any more married, right? Like, well, I only wanted to for you. There isn't any me. I am you. Don't make up a separate me. Oh no. Oh no. Alert.
No.
Alert.
Yeah, because I thought girls wanted to be married. They do, but darling, I am married. I'm married to you. Don't I make a good wife? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. This is fun.
This whole thing it's a very awkward, right? And she brings up like who can't really be married except for by the church or a state, and we then it's a whole thing, and then we had to bring the regulations into it, and I'm not even really that religious anyway, so I don't care about church wedding, blah blah. And it's like, well, you gave me the Saint Anthony, didn't you? And she's like, yeah, but that was just for luck. Someone gave it to me, so I gave it to you. It's fine. So we're developing some very unhealthy codependencies here in this chapter, right? We have only nothing worries you, only being sent away from you. You are my religion. You are all I've got. Oh no. Oh no. Red flaggerino. Flag on the play.
Yeah.
This is very unhealthy codependency, right? Like, this is real bad, real fast. We've escalated very quickly here from playing games and being silly to, oh no.
Yep. Yep. And it's all about, you know, oh gosh, what is, oh, right. She says, I don't, but I love you so much. And you did love someone else. And what happened to him? Well, he died, right? Yes. And if he hadn't, I wouldn't have met you. And I'm not unfaithful. I've, plenty of faith, right? And you're just like, okay, oh my gosh. And then she transitions to just talking about being happy. I just want you to be happy. I just want you to be happy. Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? I just want you to be happy. Like, do you want, like, what do you want? And it's like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
There's a lot of unhealthiness occurring, right? A lot of codependency, a lot of poor coping on everyone's part. We have his very recent trauma that we're not addressing. We have her older trauma that we're not addressing. Yeah, this is not
no bueno.
Not wonderful, right?
Not on a good track here. But definitely, again, just the themes here of coping and trying to make a reality and sense out of something that makes no sense and is in some sense senseless, right? Like this is all just this weird attempt of finding some normalcy and some through line and some just I'm trying to make a semblance of what I think I should have as a life. And because he he's shouldn't we, because they're talking about like, kids and marriage and life forward. And it's like, you're in war. Like, what are you talking about right now? Like, it's, and she's also doing that of like, she's trying to make something real that isn't real and or live a life basically that she lost entirely and never got fully over. And you just continue to see how both of them are getting exactly what they are looking for and how horrible it is to watch.
Yeah, right. In this, like, they're searching for what they think normalcy is supposed to be in the insanity that is World War I surrounding them, right? So like, and it's not, and the problem is it's not what they actually need. It's one of those like what they think they're supposed to need.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. Like, it's not actually healthy coping mechanism. It's not actually, she's like, oh yeah, no, people meet and they fall in love and then they get married and they have kids. That's what normal people do. We should do that because we are normal people. First of all, you're not normal people, right? But again, it's like a coping thing where you're trying to find some normalcy because like nothing makes sense. Right? Like everything is so disorienting because it's so bad and it's been happening for we estimated 3 years at this point, right? So World War the war has been dragging on for roughly 3 years of not a lot of change, right? Just like the same repetitive horrors continuing over and over all the time, right? And it is like mind-numbingly horrible. And so they're looking for something to make sense. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to cling to this like, oh, well, what is normalcy supposed to look like? Well, normalcy is supposed to look like this. So I should be trying to obtain this thing, right? Even though that is definitely not the best thing to do in the current situation, right?
Yes. Yep. Exactly. And so this will probably be perfectly healthy. And
yes. What could possibly go wrong? Wait.
By chapter 20 will be great. So
yeah. So we'll see.
Oh, yes.
Ugh. Tune in next time for the second half of book 2.
Yes.
Right?
And the joy
we'll
that's
see.
probably filled there.
Oh, yes, I'm sure there is joy. Wait. No. There may be some levity.
Levity, yes.
So we can promise you levity. We cannot promise joy.
Nope. So we'll do the best we can.
We can, though, promise haikus. That's what we can't promise.
Nice.
So, speaking of ahem,
Hey, him.
in closing, this week we have me remembering to actually write a haiku. Hooray! So,
Done. I'm kidding.
for your maybe happier ending, who knows? Here we go. Ready?
Ah.
Woolen armor shield, pierced by winter's icy spear, braced against attack.
Was your?
Yeah?
I love that. Yes. Uh-huh. Put on a thicker coat. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. It's like, where's my scarf? It's
I know. I was out dog walking yesterday and today, and I was just like, oh no, it's so bad. I'm ready for some it's
yeah, over it. Like
icy spear. Yes, I love it. Hopefully we'll have a different tune next time.
We'll see.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay. Well, lots to look forward to, and a lot to
Indeed
see what happens next time.
Yes. Tune in next time.
Until then.
The conclusion of book 2. Until then.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.